Okay, hello. How many of you feel a bit anxious about the climate crisis? Well, if you're like me, you would feel like that. And that's when I started investigating. And that's where I came across with the Doughnut Model, which, yes, the Doughnut Model. This model actually, well, it's a really nice model for the sustainable development. And that's why I am developing my thesis on this model and to apply it in Chile. However, I want to show it to you in an easy and fun way for you to understand it. So let's go. So if you're like me, for example, you will be actually curious to know what is the aim actually of this model. Well, as you all know, is to shift the economic model, because our model right now, it is like focused or designed to grow. However, it has lead up to many consequences, and one is actually the climate collapse. But not just a climate collapse, it also has created a climate crisis, a financial crisis, and also a social crisis, as you can see in the right. And however, it has also left many up with deprivations, with depriving conditions. So to transform our cities into these thriving societies that we aspire to have, we need to think outside the box. And to think outside the box, we need to rethink the core model, right? And that's where the science has this key role, basically guiding us in where we need to lead up to. For example, just as a quick and nice example, you can see how this model celebrates the complex interaction between the economy, the society, and the biosphere. This model was created by Johan Rockström, and he basically wanted to know how food connects every single one of these parts of the dimension of our society right now. Well, this is one just simple example of how science is really nice for us. And on the other hand, we have Kate Raworth, where she defines the meaning of what is thriving by creating a visual representation of sustainable development. But what is the difference between this model and between many other models? That she includes something called limits. And I think this is really nice because at least I have never came across this model as a person who studied business, as a major in business administration. This is so nice because it includes everyone needs to have a basic social foundation. However, it also needs to be within the limits of the planet. So let's go deeper on the social foundation. Well, the social foundation basically means that every single person needs to have access to water, to food, to energy, for example, for nutrition, for affordable housing, but also another rights such as, for example, democratic equality or gender equality, or, for example, to be able to have a job. And on the other hand, we have the ecological ceiling. And here we're talking about the critical Earth systems. So we all know that the critical Earth systems have 9 boundaries, which was developed as well by Johan Rockström and many other Earth scientists. So on the ecological ceiling, we have this Earth systems that we cannot trespass, we cannot overshoot. So in between these lines, we have the safe and just space for humanity, which is key for everyone, right? Okay, let's check on a dive on social foundations, which are basically based on a comprehensive analysis of the governmental submissions on Rio 20 conference, and they're also aligned with the SDG goals. As you know, well, the SDG goals were not already made, so they cannot be the same ones, but they are in alliance. On the other hand, in the ecological ceiling, we have it's based on two frameworks: the planetary boundary and the estimation of environmental footprint, which all this was made by O'Neill. So in between these two lines, we have the regenerative and distributive economy, which is what we all aim. But why is this important? Why is this necessary? Because it is ambitious enough to challenge every single country worldwide. And, well, and because actually no country is living within the safe and just space. But how do we know that? Because we have measured, because O'Neill and Fanning actually measured the performance of 150 countries. They wanted to know how many of the social thresholds have been achieved by countries. And on the other hand, on the downside, on the horizontal line, they wanted to see how many biophysical boundaries have countries transgressed. So the upper you go, the better it is, or like the stronger the social foundation that you have in your country, and the more resources that you're using, the more left you are. So as you can see, the performance of many countries, they measure the level of resources that they're using, which is associated with meeting the people's basic needs. And they wanted to see, at least in this model, how much, if this level of resources can be extended to all people without exceeding the critical planetary boundaries. And if you're like me, you will be like, okay, so where's the goal? Where do you want to be? The gold spot basically would be in the upper left corner, and meeting all your social thresholds, however, using as less resources as possible. And actually, the country which is the closest one is Vietnam. So I think this is quite nice for everyone to know, because this is a developing country which is doing things a bit different, and it shifts the focus from the developed countries into the developing countries, which are doing the things in a different way. Some conclusions from this model, which was made by Kate Raworth in her page, is that basically all countries are now called developing, because no country has achieved this level of social outcomes with a level of resources that can be extended to everyone. No country is so far close to doing that. So everyone will be developing. On the other hand, we have the new development paths needs new name, because if you know where you're going, if you know where you're at, you know where you're going. And we can see like a clear path of which way to go. And also transformative goal demands need transformative approaches. Okay, so let's go. So basically we need transformative and regenerative societies by design. And well, for a systemic change, accountability is key. And I believe that the Doughnut can bring us this critical, it can give us a broader view of what we need. And it also can give us a holistic approach, because it just doesn't measure one thing, but it measures a whole variety of different indicators. Because as we know, not all societies need the same strategy to achieve sustainable development. For example, I put 3 different countries from 3 different clusters. Here we have, for example, Denmark, which is a developed country, which, as you can see, it needs to massively reduce the amount of resources that they're using. For example, Argentina, on the other hand, needs to balance between the social outcomes, because it needs to improve it, but using less resources that they're using right now. And for example, Sri Lanka needs to massively improve on the social foundation. However, on the ecological ceiling, they're still quite good and they're performing quite nice. But I think this actually gives us a local relevancy, because you can understand what is necessary for your country, given your place where you're at right now. So what can we do to help? What can we do right now? First is to investigate. And here I know, and it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's for free. Investigation is completely for free. And they're going to send to you some web page, which I think they are really nice to investigate and to, for example, know how your country is performing, where can we help, and everything. The second part is to demand it. I hope it won't be just me, that it's instead of holding this like, well, the sign is saying there is no planet B, we can demand, for example, we need the donut or we want the donut, and demand this to your local government. And hopefully there will be more like me doing their thesis on this and doing this. And also to implement it. For example, the Netherlands is Amsterdam. It's making a pilot where they're implementing this model into their cities, and they're able to also put it in the roadmap for the circular economy. So I hope this is not just going to be them, and hopefully, for example, what I am doing can actually be used in my own circular economy strategy roadmap. And well, to have a global, to achieve the 1.5 degrees that we all want and that we all desire, we need a global coordinated strategy. And that's why we all need to have the same aim. And I believe that the Doughnut model can be one of the key roles or one of the models that can help us find a systemic change in our countries. Of course, not just this alone, with circular economy and also the agri-food system change, we can create the change that we want to see. Thank you.